Champions of Europe finally! History made in Istanbul! The treble complete! The greatest story in club history has an ending! And what a final chapter!
Hello and welcome back to Typical City. 3 points, that's all that matters at the end of the day, but you know that we need to get into a little bit of the detail about how these 3 points were achieved and how the overall game felt, because is it just me that's only coming away with a big, strong sense of relief rather than happiness? I feel like it's just not quite right at City at the minute, is it? It feels like something's just a little bit off. You know, with regards to creating chances, clinically, over the 90 minutes, it's not there. They're not clear-cut chances. Now, you can pin that on the fact that we go up against teams that, you know, they put 9 in front of the edge of the area. It's so difficult to break down teams that defend like Brentford did. But it's not just that that's the issue for me. It's the fact that they have a potency going the other way. They can create chances. They can score goals. You know, they didn't tonight, thankfully, but, you know, Chelsea showed how to counter-attack against us. Spurs have shown it multiple times this season as well. Liverpool have obviously done it a few times. Well, they did with that Trent Alexander-Arnold goal. It wasn't really a counter-attack, but still, we're susceptible to counter-attacks. You know, and it's not the mistakes anymore either. That's the issue that I was looking at the start of the season. The first half of the season, which we're past now, I was looking at individual errors that were just giving the ball away. You know, in silly situations, mistakes in defensive situations that were costing us goals. That was there in the first half of the season. I'm not really seeing out-and-out mistakes anymore. I'm seeing a bigger problem. You know, because errors happen. Individuals make errors. That happens. But now I'm seeing more of a cohesive problem. You know, the connectivity between the team. The gulf between attack and defence is too big. Like, the defence is like non-existent when we have the ball. It seems like our last man is always Ruben Diaz, who's on the halfway line more often than not. And that's not new. We've seen that a lot this season. It's the shape that's either side of him that's new. More often than not, we've seen Ruben Diaz with usually 2 either side of him. And that's made us very strong. You know, we've had a double pivot in front of them, and whether it be last season with Stones and Rodri, or whether it could have even been Gundogan and Rodri occasionally. This season, I would like to see Kovacic and Rodri a little bit more. And I mean, John Stones and Rodri is there for today. That was okay. It wasn't so much the problem there. It's just how far forward Kyle Walker is being asked to push. And alongside Manuel Akanji, was playing left attacking, left, I say attacking. He wasn't. He was left-sided centre-back. But he was like almost alongside Doku and Oscar Bob in the first half, which is great to see Oscar Bob getting his first Premier League start, by the way. So that's great news. Great news coming out of the game. It's just how open we were. Onyeka went through on goal, and thankfully, he got it onto his right foot, but he just didn't finish it properly. There's numerous opportunities for Brentford to score. They had a free kick that went just over the bar. There was a constant little, I don't feel safe. I never felt safe in this game at all. And even when we scored, you know, I felt like we were hanging on. Corners at the end coming in, that's understandable. They were throwing things forward a little bit in the last couple of minutes. You kind of expect that. And we nearly made it 2-0, which with an offside goal from Kyle Walker, which was another lovely move. Almost similar to the move that we should have scored in the first half. So it's a combination of just these little details, in particular the openness in the channels, the full-back channels at the back. it scares the life out of me, the amount of space that we're giving the opposition that we go up against. And it doesn't seem to matter who it is anymore. You know, it's like, oh, well, it's Chelsea. Oh, Chelsea are good. They've got good players. They've got good counter-attacking players. They've got speed, ball carriers, Raheem Sterling, Cole Palmer, Nicholas Jackson's not slow. You know, okay, fine, Chelsea. Was it just Chelsea? No, it wasn't, because Brentford, they posed the exact same threats that Chelsea did. They just didn't have the same level of quality as Chelsea at finding the back of the net. You know, and is this a pattern we're going to see for the rest of the season? Because God help us against Liverpool. You know, God help us against Arsenal when we play them, and God help us against a bloody Bournemouth at the weekend. That's scary. I'm worried about Bournemouth. You know, playing the way that if we play like this against Bournemouth, I'm not convinced we'll win the game. You know, relying on Erling Haaland, who, by the way, silences the critics. I would like to start talking a little bit more positively now, because City have won. You know, we have won the match. At the end of the day, that is what matters. But you know, if you know your football, you know full well there is a momentum thing here. There's a pattern of play. There is a theme, a narrative, a string that can be threaded through our performances lately. That is a familiar string of openness at the back, a lot of half chances created, nothing clear cut, until we get a genuinely clear-cut chance, and it's Erling Haaland who silences those critics by taking his chance, like we see almost like every game. You know, I mean, obviously he didn't against Chelsea, but last season that was the Erling Haaland we saw. And I promised you a mistake, didn't I? In the preview, I said it in the watch-along. Christopher Ayer, I don't trust him. I saw him against Liverpool, ropey, fell on his arse, slips over, Stevie G slip. I've seen Big M. Was it Big M or was it PUBG Gaming? That's who it was. Talking about the Stevie G slip. It was, mate. It absolutely was. But yeah, I mean, I can see Hannah there mentioning Flecken. Flecken decided to turn into prime Manuel Neuer again. I was going to say, I hope you say again, because he did. It's not the first time, is it? Bloody hell. At the G-Tech Community Stadium, he was on fire. I felt like the saves today weren't exactly worldy saves. You know, I felt they were savable, but he saved everyone. You know, the most frustrating moment in the game to me for today was Phil Foden. His overall performance, he wasn't at the races. I felt like his touch was sloppy. It's only because we expect so much of Phil Foden. The cries are playing him in the middle. Got to play Phil Foden. And if we're playing him, he plays in the middle. None of this right wing stuff and inverting from the side. He kind of did that a little bit today. He kind of was on the right with Bernardo Silva. There was a lot of fluidity between Bernardo Silva and Phil Foden. And I was okay with their positions today. I didn't have a problem with that. I felt like Phil Foden's touch was just off. He goes through on goal, and that was the moment to make it 2-0, and we can chill for 10 minutes then. I think it was maybe a bit less than 10 minutes, but towards the end of the game, Phil Foden through on goal. He has to take that. He's got to shoot. Trying to go round Flecken there was the wrong decision, and I felt like that was a reasonably good outstretched fingertip save from Flecken, just off the tips of the Phil Foden's toes. Good from Flecken there, but Phil Foden shouldn't even be trying that, in my opinion. He should be getting his shot away. Just like Erling Haaland took his shot quite early, didn't he? You know, and I think that surprised Flecken. You know, and in the end, he was just about to set himself to either drop down and use a right hand, but instead Haaland hits it so quickly, he looked up and recognised that he hasn't set yet. Flecken hasn't set. So he fires it around the side of him, and just an outstretched, flailing leg from Flecken isn't enough to stop Erling Haaland. Phil Foden needed to have that same approach today, because he had the same amount of time, probably a little less time, and he did have a few players either side of him, but still, I mean, he's got to be shooting there before getting into the penalty area, or at least on the edge of the penalty area, getting that shot away. Alvarez is a massive concern for me. This was a really sloppy performance from Alvarez. I was just being quite negative about Phil Foden, but Alvarez was worse, unfortunately. He was even worse, in my opinion, and it's a shame, because I love the guy, and I feel like he's been asked to do things he's not quite comfortable with. You know, it's not like we'd ever ask Erling Haaland to do these roles. Do you know what I mean? At least he's got the ability to drop deep. And he's a different player to Erling Haaland, a very different player. But he is being asked to do a difficult role that is foreign to him. Not so much anymore, but I mean, still, he's an out-and-out striker. But his touch was sloppy. The amount of shots in the first half as well. There was 3 shots in the space of about 10 minutes. 2 that was just like second tier were catching them. The second tier of the Etihad South Stand was catching that. All day long. That's my ball. I used to sit up there. I'll have that. Yeah, thank you very much. Bit of memorabilia for second tier fans to take home there from Alvarez. 2, in fact. one that the ball boy needed to go and get from about 10 yards past the post, all within the space of 10 minutes. Horrible finishing from Alvarez. He struggled, but I believe in Alvarez. He's got 8 goals, 6 assists from 24 Premier League appearances this season. That's good return, a really good return, and we can't turn our back on Alvarez. I just want to see him in that position he belongs in, and unfortunately that's Erling Haaland's position, and when Erling Haaland's fit, you can't rest him. You can't, because of this. This is where we're living why Erling Haaland must play. He must play. He had a tough day, Erling Haaland, today. There was a moment where he had 4 centre-backs on him. Corners weren't even being taken, and he was being wrestled to the ground. You know, Mads Rorsleff was rugby tackling Erling Haaland before Bernardo Silva had even whipped the corner in, or Alvarez had whipped the corner in, multiple times. So that's just a real indication of what the oppositions we go up against and what the credit and the respect that they pay to Erling Haaland. And so it's inevitable that the guy gets no space, you know, and he's just living off scraps. And he didn't even get a morsel of a scrap today until he did. Finally, Brentford, like, their shape opened up a little bit. They were too expansive. They pulled too many players to the widths of the pitch. Aya slips as well, which was a vital moment. He tries to do a diving header while he's falling on the floor. What's his face? Phil Jones-esque, trying to with his face, trying to get it away. And once Haaland's away, he's away. And I felt like there was going to be nothing but an Erling Haaland goal in that situation. And I tell you what, if he missed that, that would have been headlines in the morning. Headlines, horrible, horrible headlines. But those headlines, you need to rewrite them, my media friends. You need to rewrite those headlines. Haaland silences critics is my headline. What's yours going to be? Because he's done exactly that. He's done exactly that, because we're all talking about the misfiring of Erling Haaland, me included. It's not like he didn't misfire. He did misfire against Chelsea, but we talk about it like that's the end of his career. He's finished now. Haaland, he needs to go to Real Madrid to have success. You know, is he in the right club? Is Erling Haaland in the right team? Oh, fucking shit. You know, he answers the questions once again, turns up, wins the game for Manchester City. 3 points are on that board because of him. He won us the game, you know. We weren't winning that game without him today. That chance he took, what more can we do? What more can we say? Why is that not enough for some people? Why is that not enough? You know, the guy's insane. The guy is insane to finish these chances like that. And I mean, it's like the first one as well. He didn't really have a chance before that as well. And that's been a big criticism of him in recent weeks, is the fact that it's taken a couple of chances for him to get a goal. He did have a couple of chances before he scored his 2 goals against Everton. But there's another example. We win the game 2-0. Erling Haaland scores 2. We win the game today 1-0. Erling Haaland scored. You know, there's 6 points. Well, let's say we would have drawn that game. There's 4 points that we would have dropped without Erling Haaland. I know it's hypothetical, and Alvarez would have probably played up front if Haaland wasn't there. That's a hypothetical scenario, but still, he's the man who's on the score sheet and the only man on those 2 game score sheets. You know, I feel like we need to pay respect to him. I really do. 150, or nearly 150 people in the building. Can we drop some likes on the stream, please? If you can, it massively helps. It really does. It is good to see you guys in the chat as well. Let's see what some of you are saying. Big M, Robot is back. Need my service and need more service and creativity though. Think Alvarez should be dropped for King Kev, but 3 points is 3 points. Yeah, perfect, mate. Absolutely agree. Cortez is in there. Ryan's in there. Section 20, Vavara, John, Ryan, James, MJG, Window Cleaning, Shadow Assassin. You've been following me for ages, you have, Shadow Assassin. And big up to you, mate. Big up to you. I'm pretty sure you were like one of my first ever subscribers, and I remember your name because Shadow Assassin sounds like you're a lethal individual, seeing as you're called Shadow Assassin. So I remember Assassin when I see an assassin. And Erling Haaland was an assassin today. Absolutely. Good to see you, Hannah. Not in my lifetime. Devious, Michelle, Sufyan, Michael, Anthony, Lee, Rolls the Creator, Zubair. At least we kept a clean sheet. Absolutely, Zubair, my friend. Absolutely. You're very knowledgeable as well. I do like reading your comments as well. Always talk a bit of sense in the comments. Absolutely. 100%. Let's put some perspective on it. Clean sheet. Should it have been a clean sheet, though? You know? It's not like we didn't concede chances. That's the issue. You know, clean sheet is a clean sheet. Great news. So, factually, you know, highlight reels will tell a different story to what I think logical City fans would see from the 90 minutes of football that we witnessed today. I was in a terrible mood. I was watching I said I was watching the watch along. I wasn't watching my own watch along. I was watching the game. But during the watch along, I was not good. I was not in a good place. I felt nervous, and it was growing throughout the game. And it got worse and worse. The Brentford threat never went away. It was always there. They were a constant pest. Wissa, and I was told I kept pronouncing his name wrong. I was told to whistle when I say Wissa, so Wissa. And Ivan Toney as well. I thought he was a pest, getting in the ear of Ruben Diaz a little bit. I felt Ruben Diaz dealt with him really well, actually. Looking back, thinking about his performance, I thought Ruben Diaz dealt with him quite well. Couple of aerial duels he might have lost here and there. There was a moment in the last 10 minutes or so where the ball just goes straight up in the air. And you can see Ivan Toney's strength. Ruben Diaz is underneath it. And that's almost the wrong position to be. You want to be the guy running towards the man standing underneath it because you've got the momentum, which gives you the strength. And Ruben Diaz was underneath it, and Ivan Toney just goes, bosh, out the way, mate. Ruben Diaz, out the way. Threat wasn't completely cleared at that point. Eventually we got it away, but I felt like we were doing that a lot tonight as well. A lot of like clearances, like last ditch, like, oh, clear it. I was screaming, clear it, clear it, clear it, a lot during that game. We shouldn't be shouting clear it against Brentford. Do you know what I mean? With all due respect to Brentford, they shouldn't be having the amount of chances they had today. I felt like we restricted them to a lot fewer chances at their place than we did tonight. I felt like it was a more open game tonight than it was at theirs. You know, and they were gifted their goal. Well, I say gifted. It was a quite cute bit of play from Ivan Toney to knock. There you go. The same exact example of a man with strength running on to Nathan Ake on the halfway line. Bang, Ake out the way. Neil Maupay goes and makes it 1-0. After that, I felt like that was a good City performance. I felt like we dominated the game. We limited their chances. I don't remember a single chance, actually, off the top of my head from Everton. I'm sure there might have been half chance or something, but still, very little to speak of from a Brentford point of view at the G-Tech Community Stadium after they scored. And we deserved to win that game 3-1, at least. And I mean, Phil Foden was nothing of it was a shadow of the player that we saw at the G-Tech Community Stadium, but still, Phil will bounce back. Phil Foden will absolutely bounce back. Alvarez will bounce back from these performances. But it is alarming to know that we are conceding as many, it's hard to say chances. Opportunities I like to think that's a different word when talking about chances, because I don't think they had that many out-and-out chances, but they got down the channels. They had better opportunities to create more chances than I'm comfortable with, knowing it's Brentford as well. And I know it's a Premier League team, and I don't want to put too much disrespect on Brentford's name, but they're not that good. We made them look better than they are, to be honest, today. And I felt like the openness. And it's not individual. We're looking at the players on the pitch, and there's no way Kyle Walker is getting that far forward, and, down that right wing, and Pep wouldn't have hooked him off that pitch if he was going against the instructions of Pep. This is Pep saying, no, you're doing the right thing, Kyle. Go forward, my friend. Get down that byline, mate. Whipping some crosses. And he put in a couple of good ones. And another example of Phil Foden's performance was Kyle Walker's crossing was awful in the first half. Awful. Terrible. One good cross from Kyle Walker was almost like a pass, wasn't it? It fires it across the face of goal. Phil Foden's touch of a bloody wardrobe, fucking lets it run past him. It's just awful. Awful from Phil Foden. And if he kills that ball, it's 2-0 or 1-0, I think it would have been at the time. He controls that ball, bang, chance. But Phil Foden just wasn't at it. But it's not the issue of Walker's crossing ability that's in question today. It's the space that's behind him. I thought Akanji didn't quite come forward to the extent of Kyle Walker. Akanji occasionally crossed the ball, but it was a deep cross, coming in from a certain angle that's a lot deeper, whereas it was either Oscar Bob or Jeremy Doku who came on. And I didn't see much difference in the two, to be honest. I thought Doku came on with space. Oscar Bob didn't have that space, especially after 1-0, because once it was 1-0, Brentford realised they have to come forward. They have to show something. They can't. What's the point in giving up? You keep defending at 1-0. That suits City all day long. They had to come out, and eventually the space started to appear. And I was a little bit disappointed in City's clinical, creativity in the final 5-10 minutes of the game, where the space was there. For the first time in the entire 90 minutes, we had an opportunity to make it 2-0, maybe even 3-0 in stoppage time, if we were just a bit more clinical. Doku came on and had space. There was a couple of, I think he beat his fullback a couple of times, and he was knocked off balance while trying to take a shot. Not much to talk about for Doku, really, because he had, 15, 20 minutes to do something. I wasn't unimpressed by Bob, but I certainly don't think he's did enough today to be like, oh, that's it, Oscar Bob's the man. I fully believe this guy's going to be a superstar, by the way. Oscar Bob's on his way to the top, in my opinion. I think he's an absolute sensational player. From what I've seen, the glimpses of the intelligence, his footwork, his feet are like lightning, absolute lightning, incredible footwork. But so's Jeremy Doku, so it's like, what's he doing that Doku isn't? Can he provide a better end product? Because Doku's been struggling with that lately. Can Oscar Bob provide a better level of end product? And today, not really. Didn't see anything different, to be honest. He got to the byline and he cut it back. No one there. There was an opportunity with Phil Foden in the first half and Erling Haaland at the back post bursting into the box. Oscar Bob just needs to whip it hard and get it accurately in front of them, into their path. He just dinks it too soft and it goes behind them. Little opportunities like that. We've seen that from Doku. We've seen it now from Oscar Bob, and we've seen it from Jack Grealish. End product needs to be better down that left-hand side, because I feel like we're missing a trick there. There is opportunities for City. There really are. But still, it's 3 points. I don't want to be too doom and gloom. It's a much-needed 3 points as well, because let's go and look at the league table. Something I've not done is look at the league table, which I know where we are off the top of my head. We are now sat in second place. Same games played. Brilliant. It's a great looking table all of a sudden, which was all very much doom and gloom after the Chelsea game. But, 1 point behind Liverpool, who we have to play. I don't want to imagine playing Liverpool playing like this. There's no way Pep, tell me in the chat, there's no way Pep sets up his team this way. I feel like this is a team, it's a setup that's played against teams that he expects the low block. Your Evertons, your relegation teams, basically, your Brentfords, anyone down there. I feel like Pep will play this aggressive, attacking football. Just trying to throw everything at them from attacking players, and even asking our defenders to get so far forward that we try to pin them back. But even the low-end teams in the Premier League are figuring out you can get in behind. Just bide your time, wait for City to give up the ball, into the back, into the channels, and it's a threat. And if we go up against opposition that have the players to counter us with speed, and they did. Wiese was the perfect player to play, and he was the perfect player to carry that ball forward. Ivan Toney can carry the ball. Mads Roorslef's not too bad at carrying that ball. He's not got the speed anymore, Reguilon, but he's got the delivery, and he was whipping it down that line quite well. There was a threat there from Brentford, and that's what bothered me. It's a threat from a team that shouldn't be threatening quite as much as that. Imagine Liverpool. There is no way Pep plays this setup against Liverpool at Anfield. I feel like Pep should just. We don't want him to do something too outlandish. I know people are scared when Pep has a big game. He'll try something, won't he? He'll try something ridiculous, like the Champions League final against Chelsea. There's some people who still haven't forgiven him for that. I have, personally, but he's entitled to try, thinking outside the box is what made Pep who he is. He's a genius. Part of me wants him to think outside of this box, this particular box I'm talking about. Think outside of that, Pep. Maybe go a little bit defensive against Liverpool. Keep your flat back three as a flat back three. Don't be sending Walker forward. Leave him there. Whoever we're up against, Darwin Núñez, Luiz, Mo Salah on the other side, whoever it may be, just keep the defenders in a position where we can look after those types of players, where they actually have a chance. Because we're blaming Kyle Walker for not being there, or we're blaming Nathan Ake or Gvardiol for not being. Of course they're not there. They can't transport themselves 80 yards miraculously. They're not fucking wizards. They're football players. They're human beings. They can only be in one place at one time. And when they're that far up the pitch, they can't get back. It's not doable. Imagine doing that against Mo Salah. Not a chance. Not a chance Pep's doing that. Surely. Absolutely, I like to think Pep wouldn't do that. Arsenal included. Real Madrid, Bayern Munich. Arsenal again in the Champions League, potentially. That's a tie that I don't want. Arsenal in the Champions League, that'd be terrifying, to be honest. But, I feel like this has been a bit of a negative outlook on the game. In truth, 3 points is 3 points. Like Big M said at the start, couldn't agree more that 3 points is 3 points. It's made the Premier League table feel better, but I'm looking at that Bournemouth game now, and they've got players that can bring that ball forward, you know, and they've got a goal threat in Solanke who's absolutely finding the back of the net this season. Oh, it's not a fixture I'm looking forward to, Bournemouth away. But I will be doing a watch along, of course, which is 5:30 in the UK, kickoff time. Should be an exciting game. Come and join me for that. And thanks again to everyone who joined me in the watch along for this Brentford game. It was a good one. It was a really, really good one. And yeah, the result more so than the performance, in truth, let's be honest. But thanks again so much for joining me in the match reaction. 1-0, 3 points. Good day, really. Good day. You know, let's be honest. Looking forward, things to think about. Things to think about. Things for Pep to ponder. Ponder over. What's he going to do against Liverpool and Bournemouth? Because that is only around the corner, isn't it, Liverpool? A few weeks away, isn't it? Unbelievable. But yeah, thanks again so much for joining me in the chat as usual. You guys are great. Love speaking to you all as usual. Yeah, 3 points. Take care, Blues, and I'll see you in the next one.